book A Prayer for Owen Meany, the narrator John Wheelwright tells us a story of how a friendship can truly affect your whole life. For John, his friendship with Owen Meany truly changed his life when he was a young boy and still does today. John's life was never easy. His mother was a single mom. She never felt comfortable sharing with John who his father truly was. John's mother was shady. He spent most of his time living under his grandmother's watch. Tabby, John's mother, will leave during the week and go to Boston for voice lessons. And later in the book, we find out some information about John's father. From the beginning of the book, we see that John spends most of his time playing with Owen. They have been close friends for quite a while. Owen is different compared to John. Owen has a disease that makes him extremely small and have an extremely high voice. Owen is probably the smallest of his age. Tabby also quickly finds a husband from another trip to Boston. John loves Dan, her new husband, though. Everyone really wonders, why does John like Dan so much? John's real reason is because of the armadillo he gives him when they first meet. It is summer now, and John and Owen are on the same baseball team. In one of the games, they are losing very bad. Owen gets a turn to bat finally. Usually Owen is that boy a coach uses just because, no matter what, they will always get a walk. Terrible, right? But it doesn't get any better. This time, Owen is allowed to swing, and this time he hits a foul ball, just as Tabby is walking up to the stands and hits her and kills her immediately. This book flashes back many times and will fast forward also. At this time after Tabby's death, it will flash back to when Owen sleeps over and gets sick and sleeps in Tabby's bed. Owen is extremely religious and believes God has told him to do many of the things he does in his life. And that night, when he sleeps with her, he sees her dress doll, and he believes that it is the angel of death, and if he wasn't going to go in her bed and sleep with her, that it was going to kill her that night. In the Christmas season, John and Owen participate in 2 plays. This is a bad time for everyone, since this is the first Christmas without Tabby. In Owen's church's play, Owen requests to be baby Jesus. Cute, right? I'll just wait. He begs John's stepfather to have a part in his play, receiving a non-speaking part only. They both fail epically. In the Christmas pageant, Owen yells, trying to get his parents' attention during this play, and has to get carried out by John. Now, since the boys are going into high school, they attend Gravenson Academy, a great private school. Owen becomes more popular than John, surprisingly. A good touch to the both. They both really prosper at Gravenson. During the summer of 1960, Owen and John traveled to Boston and visited a shop area Tabby used to talk about often. Thinking they would just find out about the dress that they brought, they found out much more. It was almost a whole secret life of Tabby's, and it upsets John because his mom kept this all from him. Owen, their senior year, does many acts for attention and even gets himself suspended just right before they graduate. Owen may have been the main part in every single prank, but life for Owen isn't all happy-go-lucky. He finds himself a regular at Dr. Merrill's office. John usually is never there, until one day John and Dan go, but they see Owen there. John's very surprised, but once John and Dan leave, Dan overhears Owen crying to Dr. Miller about a dream. Dan, confused, leaves and asks John, but John is just as confused. One prank Owen plays on the school is, since Dr. Dulder parked in his usual parking spot, he asks the basketball team to move the car because he's mad, and they put it in the auditorium. Headmaster begins to be super mad and expels Owen, not allowing him to graduate, losing his scholarships from Yale and Harvard. Owen joins ROTC at the University of New Hampshire, but slacks off, but Owen finally opens up about the dream he has been having to John. Now John decides to join the military, but Owen is not for it. Now that Owen does not live in Gravenson anymore, he quickly comes back, and when John and him meet, he cuts off John's trigger finger. And now that won't mean John will not be able to fight. But then the book begins to start selling things all out of order, and they start with Owen's death, and having us no clue how it went down or what happened. John visits the Meany's house right before the funeral, and searches for the baseball that killed his mom. But Mr. Meany gives him even stranger news. Mr. Meany informs John that Mr. Meany never had sex in order to have Owen, so they refer to him as Jesus' baby. John is confused and mad too, so Mr. Meany brings John to the Meany shop to show him something extremely crazy. Owen, before he died, made his tombstone, showing us he truly knew when he was going to die, making his strange dream become true. His dream being that he knew how and where he was going to die, and it all adds up crazy. Not losing faith here. Once done speaking with Mr. Meany, John goes to Reverend Merrill's office because he wants to question if Mr. Merrill knows anything about what happened. But Mr. Merrill becomes very nervous and doesn't know how to respond to him. But then John suddenly feels that Owen is nearby. When Reverend Merrill begins to try to speak, Owen's voice comes out. Reverend Merrill, confused, does exactly what the voice says. And he pulls out the third drawer, and the baseball that killed John's mom comes out flying. And then randomly, Mr. Merrill does not know how to react. He suddenly explains to John that he is John's real father. After Owen's funeral, the book begins to rewind, and it rewinds to when Owen asks John to visit him in Phoenix because he has to deliver a dead body to a soldier's family. But when they hang out, all Owen wants to talk about is their past, and he just wants to reminisce. It adds up to us because he really just wants to reminisce about the past because he knows he's about to die, but he doesn't want to explain that to John yet. And the book continues to explain other random seasons of the book, either when they were spent it together or separate of their lives. But it ends with John begging God for Owen's bad because he is losing faith without Owen there. This was a crash course on A Prayer for Owen Meany, a very long book, so this was just a quick synopsis of this book. I hope you enjoyed and I hope you become wanting to read it.